So kick us off. Will you mind telling us a little bit about your role?
Sure.
And all the salty snacks that you cover.
All the salty snacks.
All the salty snacks.
All salty snacks, yeah. Thank you all so much for being here. It's really a pleasure for us to connect with all of you. I lead salty snacks for Kellanova, so that includes brands like Pringles, Cheez-It, Townhouse, Club Crackers. So this is a huge weekend, of course, for us and the biggest snacking occasion of the year.
Awesome. And those are very fun snacks just in general. There's, such a snack culture right now, and there's girl dinners, and there's caviar and all the carbs. As you are thinking about your advertising campaigns and the trends that you have to follow, do you feel like you're chasing them down, or do they come to you? How do you kind of go about those?
Yeah, we're watching trends all the time. I think where we always start was with our brands. So I think one of the things that we think about is our brands we know well. We know the tone they play. We know our distinctive assets. We know what they stand for. Pringles is a brand, obviously, it unlocks playful moments of curiosity. That's something that never changes. We do try to pay a ton of attention to trends and see where there's these moments where what's happening in trends or what's happening in the zeitgeist can connect with our brands. And that's where we feel like we're onto something special, is where there's something about our brands that uniquely can come to life through a trend that's happening. We talk for Pringles a lot, and I know we're here for Super Bowl on Pringles. Only Pringles can do it. And as we look at trends, that's a lens that we really put on it. Is there an aspect of this that we can own and that we can add value to? And that's really a basis of where we feel like we have the right or the ability to play off trends that are happening in culture.
Okay, so then perfect time to just talk about the Super Bowl. This is Pringles, what, eighth consecutive?
Eighth year.
Very impressive. There is a stat that the average amount of consecutive years that a brand runs Super Bowl ads is around 3 to 5, and the average churn rate is about 40%. So very impressive. Why do you keep running year over year?
Biggest snacking occasion of the year. So I think couple of probably 3 big buckets. One is snacking occasion. This is a huge weekend for snacking. It's a huge weekend to make fame. This is a brand that can be famous. And we know that as we draft off this, we can bring fame. It's also a massive retail window for us. So Pringles comes to life in store. We need our customers to really lean in and love this brand. A huge part of our Super Bowl strategy is obviously how we get displays, how we connect with our retailers about this, where they can really leverage it to bring people into our aisle, into their store. So there's a consumer, there's a customer aspect. We did an exercise at the start of the Super Bowl where we looked at our 8-year history of the way that we played in Super Bowl. That was a lot of fun because it started with just a 30-second spot 8 years ago. Now we have so many more ways that we can use that 30-second to connect with consumers, to connect with customers. As we plotted that journey over time, it was just incredible to see how much we could do, not just with the spot, but in the 60 days of Super Bowl for us.
Oh, so let's dig into that. Let's dig into those 60 days. Obviously, Super Bowl is important, but we are all, stocking our pantries and our houses for the big day, for the big game. How do you strategize leading up to Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's a great question. We did talk about it as we want to win the 60 days of Super Bowl. So, and really, we pay our bills through the 60 days of Super Bowl, not just through the ad itself. One of the start points was just connection with our customers. We talk about this. We talk about it in customer roadshows. They're really excited by it. The buyers are curious. We get a lot of questions and just curiosity. We even used actually some of our celebrity talent to create videos for them that just helps us connect this with our customers. We also do a lot of seeding of the content. And I think Diane is here with me today. I think she's been on this journey a long time. That's a place that we've sharpened up, and I can't wait for what's ahead. We launched Tease the Teasers a couple of weeks ago as we wanted people to start speculating about our ad. We launched teasers. We did 3 celebrity teasers over the past couple of weeks, one on the Today Show, really to get people connecting. So we can actually play those teasers in a second, but we wanted to have a ton of different content beyond the ad that really helped us build up media interest, build build up PR interest, build up customer interest in the days leading into Super Bowl. So our strategy, we started with one Tease the Teaser, where we wanted people guessing of the mustaches. And I talked about how Pringles plays in culture. I think Pringles owns mustaches, our distinctive brand assets, the can, the crisp, and Mr. P. Mr. P has a mustache. Mustaches are having a moment right now. You saw it with the Golden Globes, a lot of Timothée Chalamet. There was some conversation about mustaches. So we felt like this was the right time to take this ownable brand asset in Mr. P and connect it with this cultural momentum around mustaches and really lean into that. Tease the Teasers, and the teasers were about heroing that mustache, getting people really guessing about the way that Pringles would show up. And that was a huge part of our media strategy leading into the game.
Love it. So besides the mustaches, how did you pick the talent that you chose for your teasers and for the 30-second spot?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you can imagine the seriousness in which we take talent and the number of opinions that are involved in choosing talent. I think there were two things that we were really careful about. One is we wanted real mustaches, and that was something the agency had a very firm point of view on, and I think it was smart that they said, if you Google some of these celebrities, you see them with a mustache. And that was something that creatively they felt like we needed some authentic, Nick Offerman's a great example, some very authentic famous stashes. We also knew that this was a year that we wanted because of the spot and because of reach, we knew we wanted more of an ensemble cast in this one. So we were able to really look at talent that could bring in very distinctive audiences. We wanted to play in sports. We wanted to play with really it's celebrities of the moment like Adam Brody. We tried to build kind of a puzzle with celebrity talent that could build and let us reach different audiences while still having some really authentic, famous stashes. That was the puzzle.
I would have loved to be in those meetings.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about
some days you would love to be in those meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of points of view. It's a very personal. People feel very strongly about celebrity talent.
I love it. Okay, so celebrities are great, but obviously with talent, how did you choose to go with celebrities instead of micro influencers or macro influencers or just an everyday actor for these commercials?
Yeah. I think for us it was an and, not an or. So Super Bowl warrants celebrity talent. We feel like that was part of really our equation. That's part of customer excitement. That's part of consumer excitement. And we felt celebrities here brought a really meaningful role to the spot. But celebrities are paired for us throughout the year and even in Super Bowl with some influencer talent. And actually we can share some of that in a second. So we tried to be pretty intentional about not just leveraging celebrities, but also finding some really strong collaborators. We have a celebrity barber. We're partnering with Wishbone Kitchen. We did something really fun where some of our celebrities would actually work in some of these lo-fi moments with some of this great influencer talent to be able to reach different audiences. And as we think about our Super Bowl strategy, it's like how you reach as many people and connect with as many people as possible. Celebrities played a big role in that. Some of these collaborators played a great role in that. Some of our social content played a great role in that. So it really became an and strategy for us. I think just a quick behind the shoot for this, because this was really a first for me, and I think just an incredible moment. You'd shoot the ad and you'd have the talent, and that's very high quality production. Quickly, and your time is limited with celebrities, so I think the team would work really fast to pull them off that and then get this great, authentic, lo-fi content. And I think it was such a carefully scripted process. Diane did a ton of it again. And just the way that we could get these big Super Bowl assets, but then find these incredible collaborations where you don't lose the brand, but you put it to the market in a different way and you reach audiences in a really different way. So I think it was a fun process for us where it was the spot, then using and sweating the talent to get into some different spaces.
What kind of response are you getting on social media right now from this?
Yeah, we're really happy. We're looking at our numbers very frequently, and we're really happy. I think we see a lot of engagement. We see a lot of speculation about what's happening, and we see some replication of some of these consumer behaviors. So we're excited.
Do you think that this is something that you're going to continue through the rest of this year? Is it going to stop at Super Bowl? Like, how are you going to weave it through the rest of the calendar year?
Yeah, I think our approach to content will be a lot like it has been for Super Bowl. I think we've learned every year we get smarter at our jobs, like all of you get smarter at your jobs. This approach where you have a blend of different types of content that all tell stories around your distinctive brand assets, but tell them in a way that's really fit for channel or fit for audience is a core part of our media strategy. And that will continue all year long.
So do you think that, when are you going to start planning for next year? So you're continuing this now, right? So
not on Monday.
Right. Right. When do you start every year? It's such a process. It's expensive. When do you decide that you're going to, move forward with next year's plan?
With Super Bowl specifically?
Yeah.
Yep. We typically start our planning process in Q2. This year, though, we briefed Super Bowl pretty late. And I think there were, honestly, for us, some benefits of briefing it late. So our Super Bowl brief this year was probably September. It was right around September. That was a bit late for us. We planned some of the investment. We planned some of the customer displays that we need before that. But we didn't brief the actual creative work until really toward the end of Q3. And I think maybe a little tighter than we'd like to do. There were a lot of reasons for that. A little bit tighter, but it forced us into some really fast decisions that I think had a great benefit between us, our leadership, and our agency. So I think there was some benefits of being forced to make fast decisions. If you work at a big company, there's always benefits to deadlines, and I think that helped us there. Our approach for next year, I think, will be very similar, where it's deep channel planning, deep customer planning, and we need that to pay our bills, then maybe a little more agility on the creative planning cycle.
So I feel like my next question then with ROAS. Like, obviously, yes, you're seeing a response from this because you're running year after year after year. How do you measure it? How do you decide that you're going to pull the trigger each year? Yep.
Our Super Bowl results have been outstanding. We would not continue it into our plan if it didn't pay off. And we look at ROIs on this like any company would. We care about our return on investment. We don't just make this decision based on pure ROI. So our metrics, and the team did a ton of work around a pretty deep, detailed metrics framework. Reach, how many consumers we could reach. Heat, how deep that we could go with different audiences, what that sentiment looked like, and really total effectiveness. So our measurement framework is not at all limited to just ROI. That's one factor of it, but we look at a lot of different consumer metrics to see how this is paying off. And I think that's a nice place that marketing and in our company has evolved, where we are not hanging the success of any particular program on one just specific ROI number. As the marketplace has evolved, we need more insightful measurement tools, and I think we've done some nice work this year to look more multidimensionally at our measurement.
Are there any other events that you're considering outside of this? Are you leaning into sports? Is there anything unique that's your white whale that you'd really love to test out for Pringles?
Yeah, that's a great question. Pringles leads into culture. Sports has been successful for Pringles. It will continue to show up, but Pringles needs into culture. And I think it's done some really incredible partnerships. It did some work with caviar. That wasn't a place that you would normally think, oh, Pringles and caviar. We saw some trending things on caviar. We knew caviar was great on a Pringles crisp, and we found a way to play in that. So we will look for where there's great intersections of our brand assets and cultural trends. We have an LTO coming out with Miller, which has been a terrific partnership for us. So we're looking really at where there's great pairings or great partnerships for our brands.
So the Met then. You want to
do
the Met Gala with Pringles?
Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about Mr. P, your distinguished assets that you have, and what's his backstory?
Mr. P has been around the brand for a long time. He does not have a voice. He doesn't speak. He is the creator of Pringles in consumers' minds. So we know Pringles has really three very, very famous assets: the can, the chip and the shape of the chip and Mr. P. Mr. P, we activated in Super Bowl for the first time last year. I think he brings something a little different than the can and crisp, and this was actually part of our brief strategy. Can and crisp are great assets, but they're really functional assets. Mr. P is an emotional asset, and we thought that we could lean into him. That it started last year, and I think had a lot of success with Super Bowl. We wanted to give him a bigger role in our plan this year. So he was one that we felt like could carry and could really move Pringles in some of the metrics that it wants to move on with, just more emotional connections with consumers. He also, for us, carries the full master brand. So he carries our core chip and he carries some innovations. He's a common asset between those. So we loved giving him a role in Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, I think we have time for one more question, and then we can open up to the group. But as you have done this, like Pringles has done this for so many years, as a brand that is considering getting into their first Super Bowl and dipping their toes in, what should they consider? What advice do you have for them as a brand?
I thought about this question because I thought it would come up. This is true. Love your team. Like, I really actually do mean that. I think one of the biggest things, and I feel more proud probably of the team than anything else this year. I love the work, and I think we had a lot of fun doing it. And I think that is a place. Love your agency partners. Love your IAT. Create an environment where ideas really feed off each other. I think the process can feel overly dramatized, especially when you're on a tight deadline. I think this team fed off each other really, really well. And there was always someone to kind of laugh with and to kind of keep perspective through it. So I think one advice is trust in your team, trust in your partners, trust in and have a lot of confidence in each other to create an environment where you can get a lot of great content. So that's one almost how piece of advice. I think from a what piece of advice, know what your brand is trying to achieve. I think the mistake that you can make as a brand is where you're chasing fame without knowing how you're connecting that fame to your brand. And for us, that's something that's so important is we're here in service of our brand. It's fame for a brand, not just fame for fame's sake. That's something with some of these iconic, really established brands who will be touched by so many people over so many generations. That's important. I think that's probably the best advice is know what's in it for your brand and make sure you're clear on that element of your brand that you're really trying to bring to life.
I love that. I lied. I have one last question.
Okay.
What is one spot that you're excited to see outside of Pringles in the Super Bowl this year?
That's a good. I'm excited to see. I've really admired what Hellmann's has done this year. I think I'm excited to see how that campaign will continue to come to life. It's been fun. We've been watching like everyone, every ad that hits. I think there's tremendous assets out there. There's tremendous ads out there. We've gotten a lot of great inspiration from so many brands. That's one that I think really hats off to that team. And I think they've kept their food front and center of that. So I'm sure that is a style of brand building that I have that I've admired in them.
That's awesome. Okay, we can open up to some questions from the group if anybody has a question out there.
Yep. I think your question, just to make sure I heard it, is great social content. How do we measure and how do we decide what belongs in paid, what belongs in organic, and how does the measurement system vary? Yeah, that's a great question. We do not have the same measurement system for everything. And I think that's the kind of piece on ROI is we don't put everything through one small ROI device and try to compare apples to apples. I think we let the content play in the channel in which it will be best received. So a lot of that content will air organically, and that's a place that we feel like it's getting the right kind of consumer reach. It's getting the right kind of responses. And it's almost like a modern day press tour. That was the way that we thought of some of our organic content is how do we take celebrities and do kind of a modern day press tour and let it be in channels where we know consumers will reach it. We are not measuring that the way that we're measuring our paid media. Yeah, that's a good question.
All right, I think that's it. Thanks so much, Sarah and Sarah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sarah.